Namaste children. Today we are going to learn chapter 12 in history, that is Turkish invasion in North India. Children, we have already learned about the North India, the Rashtrakutas, the Pratiharas and the Palas. Do you remember the tripartite struggle also? That struggle was for Kannauj. So the center of attraction of these North Indian kingdoms. And later on, this get divided after struggle or wars among them, and the kingdoms goes to finally in the hand of the Rajputs, and those Rajputs were also used to quarrel, or always they are engaged in wars among themselves only. So the advantage of this situation is just taken by the Turkish invaders. And in this chapter mostly we have learned about the invasion in India, and about two personalities we are going to learn in this chapter, and those personalities were the Mahmud Ghazni or Mahmud of Ghazni or Muhammad Ghori. So children, let's start the chapter from Abbasid Caliph, who was a Baghdadi, and he recruited the Turk as his guards. This Abbasid Caliph here. So he was a Caliph of Baghdad. Let me clarify you the meaning of Caliph. Children, this word Caliph means the leader of Islamic polity, as well as they also regarded as a successor of Muhammad Sahab. So this Caliph, this Abbasid Caliph who belonged to Baghdad, used to keep the Turk as his guards. But later on, the power of the Caliphs decreased, and it resulted at the growing power of the Turks. And they later on gained some more power, and they announced themselves as the governors of different type of provinces or premises. So in those guards, one of the governors of them was this Mahmud Ghazni, who declared himself the governor of Ghazni. So Ghazni is a place situated in Afghanistan. So do you remember children? Afghanistan near Pakistan. So that there Mahmud Ghazni announced himself as the governor of the place that is named Ghazni. Ghazni is situated in Afghanistan. And then he started a new lineage of Ghaznavis. This Mahmud Ghazni started a new lineage of Ghaznavis. This lineage is started by Mahmud Ghazni. Now the story behind this Mahmud Ghazni is very famous in Indian history, because he was a well-known invader who invaded India 17 times. So this is a very surprising fact in Indian history, that not a single kingdom was just taken this very seriously, because at that time India was divided into many small kingdoms, and they are involved themselves in their own war for their own kingdom, not for the whole country. And the advantage that has been taken by this Mahmud Ghazni is because of the constant battles, the frequent battles between these Gurjar Pratiharas and the Pallavas and the Rashtrakutas. Children, in South India we have learned, North India and South India, we have learned about the Rashtrakutas and the Pallavas. So at that time the Gurjar Pratiharas, this Afghanistan is also situated in the western part, and there Gurjar Pratiharas who belong from Gujarat, and they are involved with the battle with this Rashtrakutas and the Pallavas. So the advantage is taken by this Mahmud Ghazni, and he decided to loot the India, and he decided to invade India. Then he invaded India 17 times and in between 27 years. From 1000 to 1027 CE, he wanted to make Ghazni, which was a small hilly area in Afghanistan, he wanted to change Ghazni into a well-developed place, and so that he decided to loot the wealth of India, because he was very much attracted by the wealth of India that time. And at that time, the treasure or the wealth were kept in India in the temples. So this Mahmud Ghazni was also very famous for his attack on Somnath temple. Children, let's know about them. When he wanted to change Ghazni into a hi-fi place, into a well-established place, then he decided to plunder the town and the temples of India, like Nagarkot, Thanesar, Mathura and Kannauj. Kannauj, that is the center of attraction at that time. Nagarkot and Thanesar are also the very developed towns at that time. And this Mahmud Ghazni attacked on these places, and the result was he looted all these places, and he was just attracted with the wealth of India, and that's why he decided to attack on the Somnath temple also. So he attacked on the temple of Somnath in 1025 CE, and then this temple situated at the sea coast of Gujarat. So he started to plunder the place as well as the temple. Not only he plundered the town, he also attacked and broke the idol of Somnath also, and looted the property near about 20 million rupees from that temple. Some historians are of opinion that the main objective of this Mahmud Ghazni is to establish Islamic religion in India. But most of them used to say that the main attraction to come India of this Mahmud Ghazni is only to loot the wealth, it only to invade India, and that's why to make Ghazni a well-established place. So that in Indian history he is famous for his invasion in India. Mahmud's invasion exposed the weakness of Indian rulers and paved the way for the establishment of Muslim rule in India. So trade interests also attract many Muslims to settle here in India, and this period also saw the development of a close cultural interaction between the Indians and the Islamic Central Asia. But Mahmud's destruction of valuable and artistic temples and idols was a great loss to Indian heritage. So yes children, it was a great loss for our Indian heritage that Mahmud Ghazni attacked again and again in India, and he also destroyed the whole temple of Somnath. Not only this, he also looted near about 20 million rupees from here, and in this way he invaded India. Now do you know, some fact is given. Children, do you know Mahmud Ghazni is remembered as a plunderer and invader of towns and temples in India. Opposite to it, he is very famous and he is remembered as a great builder of his own country, of his own place, that is Ghazni, because he made their beautiful mosques. Not only this, he also made their palaces and libraries. Now let's know about some famous personalities of that Mahmud Ghazni who wrote something about him. Firdausi, a famous poet, wrote Shahnama, in which he praised the estate of Mahmud Ghazni. So that poet named Firdausi has written Shahnama, in which he has praised the steps taken by Mahmud Ghazni. Now one more personality, that is Al-Biruni, write an account of the Indian subcontinent known as Kitab-e-Hind. So these are the two famous personalities of his kingdom. And the second personality we are going to learn about, that is Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori. Opposite to Mahmud Ghazni, Muhammad Ghori, who was also a Muslim ruler, who also belongs to Afghanistan, but opposite to Mahmud Ghazni, his main achievement to come in India, his main motto to come in India is to establish the Muslim religion in India. So in India, his motto is not to invade India, and his only motto is to establish the Muslim or the Islam religion in this country. So let's know about this Muhammad Ghori, who belonged to the place named Ghor, situated in Afghanistan. He conquered Ghazni. First of all, this Muhammad Ghori attacked and conquered Ghazni. Then after, he placed it under the charge of his brother and decided to turn his attention towards India, because at that time also India was the center of attraction, and the reason was the wealth and to establishment of the Islamic religion here. So he placed Ghazni under its brother and decided to attack India, and then his attention towards India to expand his empire. And unlike to Mahmud Ghazni, whose main aim was to invade India and to loot India and to get the great wealth of India, this Muhammad Ghori at that time he wanted to establish Islamic religion in India. So the credit of founding the Muslim empire in India goes to Muhammad Ghori. He occupied Peshawar, Lahore and Sindh. He was defeated in the first battle of Tarain by Prithviraj Chauhan. Children, at that time Prithviraj Chauhan, who was a Rajput ruler, was ruling, and it was the first war of Tarain, and that happened in 1191 to 1192 CE, but was victorious in the second battle of Tarain that happened in Tarain. It was the second battle, and he took over Delhi and Ajmer. So this is the fact behind the establishment of this Muhammad Ghori in India. He established his rule in Delhi and Ajmer also. Now his dream to establishing an Islamic empire would have been incomplete. Why it happened? Without conquering Kannauj, it was not possible in India to establish the Muslim rule or to establish the Islamic empire here. So that a first battle took place between Muslims and the Rajputs. The power of Rajputs was crushed. King Jayachand, do you remember? The king of Kannauj, King Jayachand took place between King Jayachand was defeated and Muhammad Ghori occupied Kannauj and Benares also at that time. Muhammad Ghori did not have a child of his own. Another fact about Muhammad Ghori, that he well established the rule in India, but he did not have any child, and that's why he put his territories under the charge of his trusted slave named Kutubuddin Aibak. So this Kutubuddin Aibak was serving as a slave under Muhammad Ghori, and that's why this Muhammad Ghori used to put his territories under the control of his trusted slave named Kutubuddin Aibak. The disunity among Indian rulers and the caste system were the main cause of success of Ghori, and the defeat of Indian rulers also. The common people were dissatisfied as they had no contact with the rulers at that time, and some Rajput rulers helped the Turks against their own country. So it also happens in Indian history that some people used to help the outsiders, and this becomes the reason which used to make failure the kingdom at the war. So same thing happened here also, that some Rajputs used to help the Turks also, and that's why they gained power in our own country. Moreover, the feudal system, the feudal lords who became later more powerful than the king. Do you remember the feudal lords? So feudal lords are those people whom the king used to give some premises, and later on these feudal lords are just became similar to the king. They used to keep their own army, they used to help the king as the time they need, and in this way they became in the similar condition of king at that time. So at that time, the feudal system where the landlords were very powerful weakened the power of the kings, and Ghori's army was well equipped and his campaigns were properly planned also, so that the Muslim armies moved very swiftly on their horses and as compared to the armies of Indian rulers. So these are the facts behind why Indian rulers are defeated by this Muhammad Ghori, that their army was also very well planned and well equipped. That's why they used to defeat the Indian army, and that the use of old methods of war in India also affected a lot. The elephants were not so much helping during the war, because as many a times they turned their wrath on their own horse also. So these are the causes behind why Indian kings were defeated by Muhammad Ghori. So Muhammad Ghori's aim to establish Muslim rule in India was not completely fulfilled, because after some time he just put all the control or territories, he just gave to his trusted slave named Qutubuddin Aibak and turned to Afghanistan back. So this is the chapter, children, in which we came to know about two kings of Afghanistan. One belonged to Ghor and one belonged to Ghazni. But Mahmud Ghazni is a famous invader whose aim was only to loot the wealth of India, to make the Ghazni a hilly place, in Afghanistan, to change it into a well-established place. So he used to attack on India to loot the wealth. He attacked India. In 27 years, he attacked 17 times. Opposite to it, one more king who belonged to Ghor of Afghanistan, Muhammad Ghori, who used to battle with Prithviraj Chauhan, and once he was defeated, but in second time he was just win, and then after he put the control over Delhi and Ajmer, and slowly he became he also went over Benares, and then after he turned back after deputing all these territories under the charge of his trusted slave named Qutubuddin Aibak. So this is the story of this chapter, and today I am going to give you the homework now. You must learn the keywords given in your book. The first word is caliph, means a leader of Islamic polity regarded as a successor of Muhammad. The second is heritage. So what do you mean by heritage? Heritage is the art, building, traditions and beliefs that a society considered important to its history and culture, or the legacy transformed from one generation to another. This is called heritage. Now the third word is historians. Historians, you know, an expert in the study of past events, that are called historians. Then comes lineage. What is lineage? The line of descendants of the particular ancestor, family or race, that is called lineage. Then comes recruitment. Recruitment means appointment. So these are the keywords given in this chapter, children, and you must learn and remember these keywords given here. So in our next meeting, I would like to discuss on this chapter and to clarify your doubt also.